Steve Gamache with a Chef Knives to Go quick look product video on the Anryu Hammered Blue No. 2 Gyuto 240mm knife. This line of knives has a core steel of Aogami or Blue Paper No. 2 carbon reactive steel. Heat treat ratings about 62 plus Roxwell approximately on these. And the construction is a stainless cladding over the top of that Blue No. 2. And what separates this knife line from a lot of the other ones on the site, it's got a nice stainless cladding, but with some really interesting hammered marks and just a nice kind of a semi-polished, semi-matte finish on the cladding. This is just a gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful knife. You've got hand-chiseled kanji. It's a little hard to show with as bright as these lights are, as they have to be for the camera settings, but it's just a really interesting finish on it. And then the core steel shows up real nice at the edge. So this is an extremely nice looking knife. The weight on the knife is 7.2 ounces, 204 grams, so this is a middleweight, but it's a pretty large 240. It's got some heft to it. The blade length is 244 on this sample, a little oversized. These will vary by individual model since they're handmade. The overall length is about 15.8 inches on this model. And the spine thickness back above the chin heel area here is about 3.4, and it thins down off of that and kind of maintains that 2.5 millimeter, and then tapers down nicely at the grind of the knife to a thin tip. The height on this is pretty generous at 51.25. These will vary per individual knife, of course. The handle is one of the nicer factory wah handles, in my opinion, on the site, and it's an oval rosewood ebony ferruled handle. Real nice fit and finish, nice feel to it, real warm, just really pretty wood, and it's just a great handle. It's about 3 inches in circumference, right back here. Fits the knife well. This has kind of the signature, since he's one of Masakage's blacksmith, Anryu's curved choil into the neck area here for comfort. This could actually use a little bit of sanding to do some relief, I think, unlike some of the Masakage's I've handled. Maybe a little on the spine. I'd probably hit it with a little sandpaper just to relieve that just a little bit, but it's very comfortable to hold in the pinch grip. The balance point on this is kind of pretty close to a pinch grip right there. Pinch grip might be slightly behind that, but it balances out very nicely. The edge profile on this is pretty flat with a decent flat spot, but kind of a continuous gentle curved style to it, but overall quite flat. And it's pretty thin at the edge. It's not quite as thin as, let's say, a Yuki, Masakage Yuki, but that's not a bad thing because that gives you a little bit more robustness on the edge. But this performs really, really well. And here's what it looks like on a cutting board. Try to get this so it doesn't blast you with the lighting reflections, but there's the look. So it's a continuous curve. You can see a little bit of a back curve towards the heel. So you're definitely not going to hit a huge long flat spot, but it's a real smooth profile that just kind of glides into the heel. It's really nice on the board. But you can still get pretty high with it as well. Out of the box sharpness, I'll give it about a 5 out of 10. It was pretty sharp, didn't have a lot of bite to it, but a quick, maybe some stropping, or in this case, just a little quick trip to the stones, and it'll, sharpen up really nicely, being Blue No. 2. This is a pretty hefty 240 with some fairly forward weight balance, and it's a tall knife, so it's definitely not a small 240. It's got some heft, and it feels like you really have a knife in your hand. But this thing, let me tell you what, this thing really goes through ingredients well. I was super impressed with the performance of the tip on this knife and the overall grind of this knife, and it just performed magnificently. So this is all that they say it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful blade. And there you have the Anryu Hammered Blue No. 2 Gyuto 240mm knife.